Sorry, everyone. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, sir.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I think I lost my internet for a while. That's why. I'm sorry. All right. You can also see my screen share.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
All right. So please mute your audio so that you can hear me very well. So let's just continue. So as I was explaining, when we load yeah, this window here and this particular window is connected with to each other. So not this particular window. It is this particular window, this window and this window. So I'm trying to load a data to this particular uh, this thing. I'm just no, we started from get that data and we select Excel workbook. We selected Excel workbook, and from Excel workbook we select our file, and from our file we now get transform data and we get to this particular place. So here we are. So on in this place, we actually have a lot of things here. So this is what they call. Sorry, I'm trying to. All right, so this is what they call Power Query Editor. You can see Power Query Editor, Power Query Editor. So for today, like I said, I'm going to run us through the tour of Power Query. That's part of our milestone for today. So the tour of Power Query Editor. So Power Query Editor is a particular place or a particular editor where you can, from the word editor, where you can edit your data as much as you want. So it's just like a very like another page, like an extension of Power BI that allows you to make changes to your data set. So once you load your data to the Power Query Editor, you can make any changes. And from there, after you now make your changes and you're now satisfied, you can now load it into Power BI. So there are many things to learn here. Yesterday I was saying something like in Power BI, like we have day 1 to day 7 for this class, and we also have day 8. Day 8 is the additions class. And for day 1 to day 7, what we intend doing is just to um get the concept and the basic things that we need for our visuals. While day 8 covers the most essential part of this class. So the one of the things that you need to know is the concept, and which is this thing. This particular editor you are seeing is is very wide, like very wide. It's not something that is like it's very wide. Actually, it's something that if you want to learn like separately, like on its own. So, but then I'm going to still explain some basic things to us. I don't know if some of you are already in this particular page. Now, let me just explain each of the things you are going to be seeing here. Now, you see this particular part that I'm pointing my mouse to. You see something like query pane. This is what they call queries pane. So this is where you load all your queries. For every table that you load, for every sheet, let me call it, for every table, yeah, it is a table, but just basically it is like a sheet. For every table that you load into Power BI, or sorry, to Power Query like this, they are known as query. So each of all these things are known as query, and there are still some other queries that we can also load here, like parameters and all that. So we are going to look at into these in details when we get to our day 8. So the date dimension, the office supplies. So these are the queries that we just load. So if I should click on office supply, I'll be able to get tables relating to office supply. If I click on date dimension, it's going to show me all the dates that I just load here. So these are everything that is going to be. So this is just like a particular a space where you can get to see your distance. You can create a new query from scratch. You can create a parameter. You can create a group. I can group these two together as if I like. But we are not going to be covering much details on this particular editor today. What we are just learning is just the thought of it, how to like the last, like how does it the flow of Power Query Editor, and how we can load it into Power BI. So this particular other part is a setting pane, or this is where your steps, everything you are doing to this data set is going to be showing here. And for your information, for every this thing that most of us have been working with, like maybe Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you can Control Z. If you make any mistake, you can easily say Control Z, Control Y, all those things, undo, redo. But you cannot undo and redo here. It is not possible. You cannot, if you press Control Z, the editor will just be looking at you like, who is this one? So it will not go, it will not do. So that's why we have all these steps. So if you should do anything, maybe you make a mistake or anything, all that step is going to reflect here. And if you now want to delete that step, you can now click on this particular, you can see it as shown red. You can now click on this icon. So it's going to delete that step. And if you delete that step, it's more or less like saying you undo that particular thing that you did. So there's no a way for you to say Control Z or Control Y or anything. So if you want to do anything, you do it. And if you want to undo it, you delete the step. So that is what this one entails. So now this is the applied steps. Like everything that we are doing here is going to be shown here. So automatically, Power Query Editor, immediately you load your data into Power Query Editor, it's going to generate all these steps itself, like automatically. So we have the source step. So this is where all these things are AI, they are just automatically displayed on its own. So Office Supply Data Dimension. So it is this what's it called? The editor that actually uses a background code. So if you want to also do this thing from the beginning, from scratch, there's a way to write a code that is going to generate this thing, and I'm going to show you in a bit. So we also have navigation. So it gives a name to it, navigation, promoted the headers, and change type. So these are major things that these are just the four steps that it did, like the Power Query Editor just quickly do on its own before. So I'm like I said yesterday, this particular data is actually cleaned already. I cleaned it before this class so that at least we can use it to cover the basic understanding of how to load the data into Power BI. So let me start from the office supply. So let's say for instance now, I want to, for each of all these things here, we have what they call data type. Each of all these things are known as data, shey. So we have each of this is a particular table, office supplies table. So this particular table now has different column. This is column, column is this like vertical, like this is column, horizontal is row. So a column in Power BI or Power Query is known as column. Yeah, column. Just call it column. So all these things are column. So for this particular column, where there is a particular data, this data is already has its own data type. So data type is like you trying to define or telling Power Query Editor that this data, this is the kind of data that is in this like in this that contains that is contained in this column. For instance, now this is text region. This is region, Shay. So everything that we have here is just text. There is no number there. It's just text, 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 text. There's nothing like number. So it means that the data type that is there is text. So we have various data type. We have dates, we have text, we have numbers, we have many of them like that. We have both text and we have string, both text and number. So we have them like that. So it is always a good practice if you are trying to load your data, always try to confirm that do you specify the data type? Because if you do not specify, you are going to have issues in your Power BI. Because for instance, let's say you are trying to configure a text into a number. Normally it's a text like this, so you now change it to number. If you should try to run your visuals with that particular column in Power BI, it's not going to work because Power BI will be like, what is contained in this column is text, but you are putting it as a number. How will I sum, or how will I do the average, or how will I calculate? So all those things is going to make Power BI to be confused. So it's always good for you to always define your data type every time. So and to define a data type for each column, what you can just do easily is just click on. You can see this particular icon in each of beside each of the names of the column. So you just click on this icon for date. You are going to see a lot of data type here. So we have decimal number, we have fixed decimal number, we have whole number, percentage, date and time, date time and all, and time zone, duration, text. So these are many data type that we have. These are like most of the data type that we have in Power Query Editor. So if you should click on any one of them, it's going to show what's it called? It's going to show the icon that is here. For instance, let's say I want to convert this one to whole number. Let me just add new step so that yeah, you can see Ordinarily before, in this step here, where it is date, normally it is date that is here. So you can see the way it is. This is like July 4, 2014. So this is this thing. And immediately I add another step, which is me changing the data type. It's also name the step. So it means that I already changed the type. So into whole number, and this is whole number here. So it converts Power Query Editor converts this thing like this into a whole number like this. So that's how to work with data type. So, but if I mistakenly click on that data type, I can just I cannot undo, like I said, I cannot press Ctrl Z. So for me to do that, I will just press this icon that is here, this red icon. I will just click on it. So it's going to go back to the former step, and that's how it works. So for instance, if I should convert this into whole number, I can also apply it as a as a date in my Power BI for the visuals. It won't be, because how will you say this is a date and you are using a whole number, a whole number for it? So Power BI will be confused. So that's why it's always good to always define your data type every time. So this is a region. So, and it's a text. Everything contains text. So you can always see them like as a text. Rep is like a representative. Let's say for instance, I can also edit this column name. So let's say I want to edit the column, I'll just double click on it and I will just click on it. I can just say representative info, and that's it. So representative, you can see the step has already been added already. Renamed columns. I rename my column. So representative. So for everything you are doing, everything, Power Query Editor is going to be creating steps for each of them, so that anytime you want to make your changes, you can easily make your changes from here. This is the former step. Before I change the column, this is rep. So, and this is the name columns. That is when I change the name of my column. And like that's the other. So this one is text. This one is item, which is also text also. And we have the unit sold. The unit sold um is numbers. So Power Query Editor as an AI, it detects that everything that is contained in this particular column, everything is just number. It's not a mixture of number and decimal, and it's not a mixture of a number and text. It's just everything is just purely number. So it just detects it ordinarily, like automatically, and it gives it a data type of its own. So this one like this 1.2, it means that all the numbers that are here are decimals. All the numbers that are here are decimal. So that's why it gives us 1.2. So 1.2, if I want to change the data type to whole number, I can easily change to whole number here. But decimal number is for 1.2. So this is just like an icon that is representing decimal number. So that's how to work with Power Query Editor. Basically, like these are one of the things that you can do there. So these are one of the things you can do. So, and if you don't want, this is just like a shortcut to change the data type. If you don't want to change the data type from here, you can just click on the column, go to your home tab. This is the home tab. Click on the home tab. Once you click on the home tab, navigate to where you are going to see data type. You can see automatically it brings date. So if you just click on this place, you can see other data type, duration, whole number, just as we've seen when we click this icon. So you can just pick the one that you want here. So let's say I click on this column, you can see, if I should click on this column now, it has changed again to text. So, and if I click on this one, it has changed to whole number. If I click on this one, it changed to decimal number. So that's how Power Query Editor, one of the things that you can gain from Power Query Editor. So this is for the office supply, which is like one of the table we are going to be working with, and that's how it works. Also, if you are working alongside with me, you are going to notice that if you should click on this source and you look at this particular what's it called, section, they call this place a formula bar, just like you have in Excel. In Excel, like let me open an Excel file here. Just like we have something like this in Excel, you can see it's even almost the same thing. This is function X. So just for in Power BI, Power Query Editor too, we also have something like that. You can see this and this. So this is the formula bar here for Power Query Editor. So you notice that this particular information that is here, this is user desktop, student files, office supply. In your own case, it can be different. In fact, it is most likely that it will be different. And that's because where may I store my own, this particular file that you are working with, where I store it into may not be the same place that you store your own. You get, so you have to cross check. And that is why if I should send, after working on this particular visual and I send my Power BI, I publish it, and I after publishing and I share the visuals to you. You may not, you may be on, you may be unable to, you may not be able to, what's it called, check the visuals, and that's because the source is different. So there's a way to now make it like to there's a way to make it that we can just embed this particular link. So that's what they call parameters. So and I'm going to be explaining this one in the day 8 class. So in the additions class. So that's these are like I said yesterday. If you don't know all these particular, see in fact if you don't know Power Query Editor at all, and you want to work with Power BI, it will be very hard for you. And you cannot, even though after learning all those visuals, it's very hard for you to say you are a Power BI expert. So this Power Query Editor is one of the most essential tools or most essential um, package in Power BI that you must learn. It is very much essential, very, very much essential. For instance, now I can combine this column together. Let me go back to our last step. I can combine this, what's it called, this column together. If I want to combine it, I can merge queries, I can append queries, I can do a lot of things. Now, this home now, if I want to write a code, for instance, now this date dimension, I generated this date dimension through codes. Like I write the code myself. And there's a way to do that too. Like you're going to write the code. Like we have something they call M languages. So you write the code and generate your code yourself, generate the data yourself. So there's a way to do it. And after doing that, I export it to Excel and I copy it to that office supply sheet. So that's how you're able to. So I was want to do this myself. So if you want to see how to code, just click on this home tab here and navigate to where you see advanced editor. So click on the advanced editor. It's going to display a dialog. So this is where you can write your codes. So everything that we are seeing here, let me close it again. Everything that we are seeing, all these steps that you are seeing here, and all this table, everything that we are doing here, they are all because Power Query Editor believes that not everybody know how to write codes. So these things of two forms. Is that how you work with codes if you know how to do the coding? Is that how you work with codes, or you just do normal drag, click and type or something like that, sha? So you can just do those ones. But if you want to work with codes, everything that we've been doing like this, automatically Power Query Editor is just creating those codes itself, and it brings it like this. So we have source, we have date dimension sheet, promoted headers, and all that. So I will still explain all this one in detail when we get to the eighth class. So the date is just so that's how it works. In fact, even when I write the code, what I first did was that I just generated the date. I can just tell Power Query that give me a date from 2020, 2010, anytime to 2023 is going to give me. In fact, 2015 and 2025 is going to give me. So there's a way to write those codes. And from there, I extract year from this date attribute. I extract the year, I extract the quarter, I extract the month, the week. I also this one like that I wrote here is like a conditional column. So how do you add a conditional column? How do you do all those things? These are the things that we are going to be looking at when we get to the eighth for the additions class. I just decided not to explain at this time because it's going to like I want us to be systematic. So that Power Query Editor is something that you have to learn on your own. Like you have to learn it on its own, rather. That's what I mean. You have to learn it on its own. It's not something that you can combine with Power BI knowledge. However, if you don't know Power Query Editor, it will be very hard for you to work with data set and work with Power BI. Power BI is very simple, drag and drop. But all these things that are the basic thing, like they are the foundational level of Power BI, you have to know them. So in day 8, I specifically mentioned that we are going to be dealing with Power Query, you can see. So Excel also has Power Query, and just like Excel Power Query is, that's how Power BI query also like they are the same, they are just similar, very similar. So that's that, and um to continue. So from this Power BI that is here, sorry. Oh, all right. So Somebody has a question. So if you want to ask a question, please just wait. I'm going to end the call, like the class soon. And maybe within the last 5 minutes. Like I said, this Zoom actually accommodates just 40 minutes of this thing. So maybe if you're unable to ask questions when I'm still presenting, we can always discuss in the WhatsApp group. So just bear with that. So this is everything. So in the home tab, there are many things that you can see. Many things. You can enter data. So all this like this, we are going to be explaining them one by one in the date in the additions table. I'm going to explain, it's not everything self, but I'm going to explain the ones that are essential majorly that you cannot do without. So that's how they work. So we have office supplies and all that. So we also have what they call transform data. So we have what they call transform data. Oh shit. So we have what they call transform data. Under this transform data, you can easily like there are other functionalities for the transform data to transpose, reverse rows, count rows, and all that. So that's how it works. So you can replace value, field, everything like this. All this replace value on pivots. How do you on pivot columns? How do you so this especially this on pivot columns? I think I explained something like this yesterday, where you have a lot of years in the column. So how do you convert a column into a row, and how do you convert a row into a column? So we are going to be doing all these kind of things in on pivot and on pivoting columns. So that's all that. So how do you add columns? You can click on add column, conditional column, index column. For instance, if I want to add an ID to all these things, I can just say index column starting from 1. Automatically, it's going to add index to it. So you can see it has named each of all these rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can see it has named each of those rows. So this is an example, like this is just like a one of the benefits of using this particular query. So if you don't have any ID, like I said yesterday, each of your tables must have a unique ID. So if you don't have any ID, just try as much as possible to try use the index. So instead of you in Excel now, you have to start saying something like 1 or something like that, 1, 2. You now select like this and start oh shit. You now select like this and start dragging. So all these things is just waste of time. So but just here you can easily just um create an index and under views too, you can cover we are going to cover some things in view, like how do you uncheck your formula this thing, and in case if you don't see it, how do you do it? Another file as well. There are many things that we can also explore here, your options and settings. So many of them. So everything is under additions, which is in the 8th class. And so that's it. If I want to change this date dimension as well, I can just rename it here. I can give it anything. Let's say I want to change it to date dimension full. So that's it. To just change and to apply here too. So okay, this index I want to remove this step here. So it has removed the index. So that's everything. So if you want to rename your query, you can rename your query here. You can see apply steps and you can collapse it. You can expand it. So and this one too, you can collapse it and you can expand it. So many other things that you can do. This formula bar too, you can collapse and expand if you want. So everything that we just for this particular step, these are all the formulas. These are all the formulas for this particular step. For promoted headers, these are the formulas. Okay, promoted headers. So this is the formula for promoted headers. So each of them has their own formula one by one. So it is now advanced query editor that now combine all of them together once and for all. So you are going to look at this also one by one. So last thing I forgot to say is that if you want to filter your column, you can always filter your column. Once you just click on this place, it's going to load a dialog where you can select the one that you want to see. So you can just select anyone that you want to see. It's going to show you. Let's say for instance, let me go to office supply and I want to filter this particular table by region and I want to select east. So it's noticed now, if you look at this particular column here, you see east, central. So just like how Excel filter also work, it's going to look at it. It's going to look into it that okay, how many repeated words do we have? So we have just 3 repeaters, which is east, central, and west. So clicking on this, let's say I'm interested in central alone. I'll just click on central. Sorry, I'm interested in central alone. I just click on central and I will click on OK. Now notice this particular place, if a particular step is going to be added. So just click on OK. You can see filtered rows. So this is everything that we have for what's it called, for central, all data that is relating to central. So let me click on, let me change this filter. Let me just go back. So that's it. So that's basically how to work with Power Query Editor. So like I said, Power Query Editor is like an extension of Power BI. So it is very rare for you to know Power BI without knowing Power Query Editor. You're going to, you may probably run into issues like it is mostly certain. Sure you get. So, but that's it. So that's our so the last step that we need to work towards for this class is how can you now load. Let's say after we clean all this data is already clean already. I've cleaned already. So let's say after we've already cleaned this data, everything is fine and we like it. Oh, I like this data. I've changed the data type. You've changed everything that you want to change. How do you now load it? Now, if you look at this is where we are working with. This is the particular visuals, this particular page. This is what we are working with. This one is because we click on the get data that now displays this window that is here. This window that is here, which is the query editor. So this one is just like an extension. It's not, if I should close this particular window now, if I should close this window, automatically this window too will close with it. So this one is just like a child. This one is like a child, and this one is like a parent. So without this one will not open. So that's how it works. So if I want to now load my data, now go to your home tab. So once you click on your home tab like this, look at where you see close and apply. So just click on this particular just click on it like this, and you see close and apply. You have to click on, like we have apply, we have close. So I think being you've already loaded the data already, you are now trying to make a correction. So you can click on apply just to refresh the data. So and you can close this query editor. If you don't have anything to apply, you can just close on the query editor. But now we've not even we don't want to see this query editor again. At the same time, we want to apply the changes to our Power BI page. So I will just click on close and I'll apply straight. You can see automatically the query editor is gone, and it's trying to load my data. So Zoom is already saying that we are out of time, but I think we are almost done. So okay, we have 10 minutes left. So it is loading our data already. So look at it, we have date dimension and we have office supplies. Like I was saying the other time on Friday, if you have the lower RAM in your system, it's going to determine how your this thing is going to be very fast. So okay, our data is now load. You can see before we don't have anything here. But now that we now load our data, it's now showing under the data pane. Also before, this place is like, you can see that this place too has also changed too, unlike what we have before. And if you look at the table view, we are going to see our data that is already there. So this is for the date dimension. This is for the office supplies. So if you have a very low, what's it called, RAM, your system can be slow because of this. I'm still working with this one is just for 3 rows. You see, it's just for 3 rows. So, but in a case whereby you have like 1,000 rows or 1 million rows, so if your system is like 4 gig, although Power BI does not have issue with it, like 2 gig RAM is okay or and above, but I just try as much as possible. I just recommend on my own because I hate when things are slow and sloppy. So it's always good to have, just be frustrating. Like you don't even know if you have done anything. This will just stay there and be trying to load. So this is a model view. You can see before there's nothing like this. But because we've already loaded our data, it now give us a table here. So here too, I'll be showing you how to connect this date dimension. This is a particular table now. So this Power BI is seeing this table as a standalone table. There is no any connection between date dimension and office supplies. There's no any connection between them. So if I want to make them connect to each other, there's a way to do it, and that's what we call cardinality. So how do you connect this thing together? And that's why I said they must have a unique identifier. There must be something that looks alike, yeah, between the two. So there must be an ID in this particular table that is also here in this date dimension too. They must, like, both of them must have it. So without your data, in your report view, without this particular data pane here, you won't be able to see anything like table view. I mean, you won't be able to also see your model view here. So that's how to load your data. So if you want to start our visuals, we can now start using this data for visuals. And that's what we are going to cover starting from tomorrow. How to, so basic visualization, how to create a simple line chart. And we are going to cover cardinality tomorrow too. So we have many types of cardinality. We have many to one, one to one, and all that. So tomorrow, by God's grace, we'll be doing all that. So we have 7 minutes left. So let me use that 7 minutes to entertain a lot of questions that we may have. So if you have any questions that you may want to ask for this particular class that we did, you can just ask.
So, good evening, sir.
All right, good evening.
Yeah, thank you very much. As we are going on after, I think you've answered one of the questions I want to ask because I wanted to ask that the Power Query editor is it different from the one of Excel? So I think you've answered that Excel is still the same thing. So now another thing I want to ask is about the language for the code that you wrote there for the dimension. I wanted to ask that is there any specific language to use, or there are many languages to use?
Yeah, what they use is just M languages like we have different like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all those languages. But for this particular that one that I show you, you cannot see this window again because we've already closed and applied. But for that one that I shall show you, that one is M language. But if you want to see that Power Query
Okay,
Editor again, you want to see the query editor again, just click on Transform Data. So once you click on Transform
okay,
Data under the Home tab here, once you click on Transform Data like this, it's going to bring the query editor again. So let me now navigate to Advanced Query Editor here. So this particular code that they write here, it is done using M language. So it is the M language that we
okay.
use to write this particular code. So and that's it.
Yes.
All right. So does anybody else still have question? So are we saying that everything that we do today is totally clear to all of us, or we are shy to ask questions? And please, if you have any feedback regarding today's video and today's meeting, it's always good to always improve. At least based on your feedback yesterday, I was able to get some other things done. So if you have any feedback, you can always relate it with me. So please, does anybody have question? Because our meeting will be ending soon.
No.
Okay. Okay, let me just quickly ask a question so that okay, someone is asking a question. Oh, well, if Zoom is disconnecting any one of us, I don't know. It's just probably at your own end. Zoom is just a normal app that is compatible to any system that is also compatible with it. So let me quickly ask a question from us so that we can. I don't even know. Okay. So let's take for instance now. I want to. I just need like one or two person to just answer the question. Let's say I want to load my data into Power BI and my what's it called? Maybe I have like three columns, and those three columns, the first one is in UX dollar. Like the first column is sales, and that sales is in UX dollar. And I also have another one that it's like a time this thing just time. So and like on the other one is now talking about maybe region or country. Yeah, maybe country. So who can tell us the kind of data type we are going to use for each of them? So who can just give us an answer? The kind of data type that we are going to use for the three columns. Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
For the
So
first one, sales,
okay.
you use, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
For the first one, sales, you use number. For the next
Okay.
one, time, you use date and time. Then the
Okay.
last one, region, you use text.
All right. Cool. All right. So that's actually the answer, and you really tried. So that's the answer actually. So I applaud you. So basically, if you already have the app already, and I already sent the data set to us, just try as much as possible to try. Just walk through the Power Query editor, but please don't try to do anything that is beyond what I taught today, because you may try to. Well, anyways, well, you can try, but a Power Query, like Power Query editor, generally requires you knowing it, what you want to do before doing it. Like I said, it runs on code. So, okay, let me just quickly show you. There's a way to even, if you have an error, there's a way to show you that you have an error, and if you don't have an error to it will show you. So sometimes it can just bring some kind of error that you'll be frustrated with. And so you can see this particular green here under each of this header. So if I should over to this line here, it's going to show the details of that particular column. So it is saying that we have 730 valid data, and there's 0% error, and none of them is empty. So, but if you have error now, it's going to tell you red. It's going to show red automatically, and you'll be like, what did I do wrong? So, try as much as possible. If you are exploring this particular query editor, do not do what you know how, like do what you know how to do. Don't just please, I'm going to recommend we save this file. So, if you want to save our file, because this is where we are going to continue from tomorrow. So, just press save here, and you can save. So, and that's how it works. So, you save normal, the way you used to save normal file, you can just save. All right, so see you guys tomorrow. The meeting is ending now, and I believe we also have access to recording the videos, but I will try as much as possible to send the videos recordings to us, maybe on WhatsApp or YouTube, any one of them. So see you guys tomorrow. I'll be ending the meeting now.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
sir.
very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.